Joan Park lifted the final security module from its padded case and plugged it into her home network hub. The small device glowed blue as it connected, completing the state-of-the-art system she had installed throughout her new home. Wiping sweat from her forehead, she allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. After 6 years of grueling work in the cybersecurity division of the Global Defense Network, she finally had a place to call her own. A modest 2-bedroom house on Maple Avenue with actual trees and a small garden. Finally, she muttered, scrolling through her tablet to confirm all systems were online. The network encryption levels exceeded military standards, something her GDN supervisors would appreciate given the sensitive nature of her remote work. June stretched, feeling the tension in her shoulders from the move. The house represented everything she had worked for. Peace after years of digital firefighting, privacy from the constant threat alerts, and a sanctuary from the increasingly unstable world outside. The neighborhood was quiet, perfect for someone who spent her days detecting and neutralizing network intrusions that could compromise global security. A movement outside caught her eye. Through the living room window, Joan noticed a man standing in the neighboring yard, staring directly at her house. When their eyes met, he waved with unusual enthusiasm. Something about his too wide smile made her uneasy. He was middle-aged with perfectly combed hair and wore a cardigan despite the summer heat. Joan gave a small wave back, then quickly moved away from the window. She had researched the neighborhood thoroughly before buying. Crime rates, property values, community engagement scores, but hadn't met any neighbors during her previous visits. She continued unpacking, setting up her home office with 3 monitors and a separate secure workstation. 2 hours later, as dusk settled over the street, her doorbell rang. Checking the security camera feed on her tablet, Joan saw the same neighbor standing on her porch. He held a small potted plant that drooped sadly to one side. After a moment's hesitation, she opened the door. "Hello," the man said, his smile even wider up close. "I'm Mr. Kim from next door. Welcome to Maple Avenue." "Thank you," Joan replied, accepting the plant. "I'm Joan Park." "Wonderful to meet you, Miss Park. I saw the moving truck earlier." His eyes darted past her to the security panel glowing in the hallway. "Quite the technical setup you have. Very impressive." Joan shifted, partially blocking his view into her home. "Just the basics. I noticed your Wi-Fi signal when it came online." Mr. Kim leaned forward slightly. "Extraordinarily strong. Military grade, I guess. My own connection has been terribly unreliable lately." The comment made June tense. Few civilians would recognize military encryption protocols or be able to detect them. "Just standard security," she lied. "Perhaps we could share resources," Mr. Kim suggested, his voice brightening. "I'd be happy to compensate you for the password. Neighbor helping neighbor, you know." "I'm sorry, that's not possible," Joan said firmly. "Company security protocols. I work from home with sensitive data." "Ah, of course. The Global Defense Network has strict rules, I imagine." June felt a chill. She hadn't mentioned her employer. Mr. Kim must have noticed her reaction. He quickly added, "The moving company mentioned it when I asked about my new neighbor. I was quite impressed." His explanation seemed plausible, but something felt off. His smile remained fixed, but his eyes hardened slightly. "I understand completely," he said, taking a step back. "Neighbors should respect boundaries. But if you change your mind or need anything at all, I'm right next door, day or night." "Thank you for the plant," Joan said, already closing the door. "We'll talk again soon," Mr. Kim called as the door shut. June immediately activated her door's security lock and pulled up the neighborhood records on her tablet. Mr. Kim had moved in 3 years ago, according to property records. No social media presence, minimal public records. For someone living in 2175, he was practically a digital ghost. Even more concerning, she had never told the moving company where she worked. That night, Joan had trouble sleeping. Her security system registered an unusual pattern of signal scanning around 2 a.m. Someone was probing her network defenses. The attempts were sophisticated but ultimately unsuccessful against her enhanced security protocols. In the morning, June found a small gift basket on her porch with a note, "To New Beginnings. Your neighbor, Mr. Kim." Inside were homemade cookies and a small device that looked like a decorative digital clock. June's portable scanner identified it as a network bridge, a tool that could potentially create a backdoor into her system if activated inside her home. June carefully sealed the device in a signal-blocking bag and called her supervisor at GDN. "Hansol, I may have a situation at my new place," she said quietly, watching Mr. Kim water plants in his front yard. When he saw her through the window, he waved cheerfully, as if he hadn't just attempted to breach her security. "Someone's very interested in my network access. Too interested." As she spoke, Mr. Kim walked back to his house, but paused halfway. He turned slowly and looked directly at June through the window, his smile now gone. For a moment, in the morning light, his features seemed to shift slightly, becoming less human before settling back into normalcy. June stepped away from the window, heart racing. She had dealt with persistent hackers, corporate spies, and state-sponsored threats, but something about Mr. Kim suggested a danger she hadn't encountered before. "I think I need to dig deeper into my neighbor's background," she told her supervisor. "Something isn't right on Maple Avenue." As she ended the call, her home system alerted her to another notification. A legal document had been delivered to her digital mailbox. The subject line read, "Notice of Civil Action. Kim versus Park. Discriminatory connectivity denial." Her neighbor was suing her for her Wi-Fi password. June sat at her kitchen table, digital documents spread across her tablet. The morning light filtered through her blinds as she stared at the official summons for the 5th time, hoping the words might somehow change. "This can't be real," she muttered, reading the header again. "Hyun Kim versus Joan Park. Civil case #4577B. Discriminatory connectivity denial." Her fingers trembled slightly as she swiped through the document. The lawsuit claimed she had violated Municipal Code 87.3, a century-old ordinance established when the neighborhood was first developed. The code apparently required equitable sharing of essential community resources among residents of Maple Avenue. According to Mr. Kim's filing, internet access now qualified as an essential resource, and her refusal to share constituted discrimination. "Ridiculous," June whispered, but the hollow feeling in her stomach suggested otherwise. The case had been accepted by the local court. A preliminary hearing was scheduled for next week. Her doorbell rang precisely at 9. Through her security feed, June saw her attorney standing on the porch, briefcase in hand. Tai Wan-Lee was a tall, slender man with rectangular glasses and a reputation for handling unusual digital rights cases. June had called in a favor from a GDN colleague to get this last-minute appointment. "Thank you for coming on such short notice," June said, leading him to her living room where she had prepared coffee. When Min Ho from the network called, "I was intrigued," Ta Wan said, accepting the cup. He mentioned a strange lawsuit, but was light on details. June handed him her tablet. "See for yourself." Taiwan's eyebrows rose progressively higher as he read the complaint. He adjusted his glasses and reread several passages. "He's suing you over a Wi-Fi password, based on a century-old ordinance about neighborhood resource sharing from when this area was first developed." The attorney sounded genuinely baffled. "This is creative legal interpretation, to say the least." "Is it valid?" June asked. Taiwan sighed. "Technically, the ordinance exists. It was originally meant for well water and electricity co-ops when this area was being developed. But it's never been repealed, just forgotten." He tapped his fingers thoughtfully on the table. "It's absurd, but not immediately dismissible. We'll need to prepare a proper response." He began typing notes on his own device. "I should look into previous cases your neighbor might have been involved in." "Already started," Jim said, sharing another file. Mr. Kim hasn't just been watching me. He's been busy since he arrived here. Tae-won scrolled through the records, his expression growing more concerned. This is the 5th case he's filed, all with the same basic premise, against different neighbors on Maple Avenue. He paused, brow furrowing. That's odd. All previous neighbors settled out of court and moved shortly after. Every single one. Why would they all give up so easily? June asked. Good question. Most people would fight this kind of nuisance suit. Tae-won made another note. I should contact the previous defendants. Good luck finding them, Jun said. I tried. 2 moved overseas without forwarding addresses. 1 apparently joined a tech-free commune in Alaska. The 4th died in an unexplained home accident 3 weeks after settling. Tae-won looked up sharply. That's concerning. There's more, Jun continued. I ran a background check on Mr. Kim when he started acting weird. Standard procedure in my line of work. There's nothing about him online. No social media. No public records before he moved here 3 years ago. That's impossible, Tae-won said flatly. Everyone has a digital footprint. Birth records, education, employment, medical history, especially someone his age. The system tracks everything. Exactly, Jun replied. Everyone human does. A heavy silence fell between them. Tae-won's skeptical expression slowly changed as he processed her implication. You're not suggesting. June stood and walked to her window. Across the street, Mr. Kim was meticulously trimming his hedge, movements precise and methodical. As if sensing her gaze, he looked up directly at her window and smiled that too wide smile. I work in cybersecurity for the Global Defense Network, she said quietly. We track intrusion patterns, but not just from human threats. There have been incidents, anomalies in the network that don't behave like any known technology. Tae-won joined her at the window. You think your neighbor is some kind of what? Alien? Advanced eye? I don't know, Jun admitted. But last night my system detected quantum-level scanning attempts on my network. Technology that shouldn't exist yet. And look at him. He's been trimming that same section of hedge for 30 minutes without stopping or showing any fatigue. As they watched, Mr. Kim set down his trimming tool with deliberate care. He turned toward Jun's house and gave a small wave before walking to his mailbox. He removed an envelope, held it up for them to see, then placed it in Jun's mailbox. Another legal filing. Jun guessed. He's escalating. Tae-won stepped back from the window. Look, I deal with unusual tech cases all the time, but this is. I know how it sounds, Jun said, but I need you to consider all possibilities. Whatever he is, he wants access to my network specifically. My connection links directly to GDN secure servers. Tae-won took a deep breath. Okay, let's approach this methodically. First, we fight the legal battle by the book. Second, we investigate Mr. Kim properly. How? If there's no digital trail. Old-fashioned way, Tae-won said, determination firming his features. We break into his house and see what he's hiding. Jun blinked in surprise. That's illegal. So is filing fraudulent lawsuits, Tae-won replied. And if your suspicions are correct, we're dealing with something far beyond normal legal concerns. He checked his calendar. The preliminary hearing is in 4 days. Mr. Kim will have to attend. That gives us a window. Outside, Mr. Kim returned to his hedge trimming. For just a moment, when the sun hit him at a particular angle, his shadow on the pavement seemed to have a different shape entirely, taller, with too many limbs. This case just became the most interesting of my career, Tae-won said quietly. For both our sakes, I hope you're wrong about him. So do I, Jun replied, closing the blinds. But I don't think I am. June checked her watch for the 3rd time in 5 minutes. The hearing started 30 minutes ago. We should have at least 2 hours. Tae-won nodded, adjusting the small bag of tools slung over his shoulder. They stood in the shadow of a large oak tree, watching Mr. Kim's house from across the street. The modest home looked completely ordinary in the afternoon light. White siding, blue shutters, and a perfectly maintained lawn. Nothing about it suggested anything unusual. "The security system is basic," June whispered. "Standard door alerts, but no motion sensors inside. I can disable it from my phone." "You're sure about this?" Ta-One asked. Despite his earlier bravado, the attorney looked nervous now that they were actually about to break into someone's home. "No," June admitted, "but I need to know what we're dealing with." She pulled out a small device and aimed it at Mr. Kim's house. The screen displayed a scrolling readout of data. This energy scanner was designed to detect unusual power signatures that might indicate network intrusions, she explained. "I borrowed it from work." The device beeped softly, its display flashing red. "That's not possible," June whispered, staring at the readings. "It's showing a massive power signature beneath the house. More energy than the entire neighborhood grid should be able to supply." Ta-One peered at the screen. "What does that mean?" "It means we definitely need to get inside." They crossed the street quickly, trying to look casual. At the back door, June pressed her phone against the electronic lock. After a few seconds, the light changed from red to green with a soft click. "Breaking and entering has certainly evolved since my law school days," Ta-One muttered as they slipped inside. The interior of Mr. Kim's house was surprisingly sparse. The furniture looked unused, like a display in a store. There were no personal items, no photos, books, or mementos. The kitchen contained clean dishes but no food. "It's like a movie set," Ta-One whispered, running his finger along a dustless shelf. June consulted her scanner. "The power signature is coming from below us. There must be a basement." They searched methodically, checking under rugs and behind furniture. In the hallway, June noticed a slight discoloration on the wooden floor, a perfect square, almost invisible unless you were looking for it. "Down here," June whispered, kneeling to examine the area. She pressed lightly on one edge, and a hidden panel slid open silently, revealing a set of stairs descending into darkness. Ta-One looked genuinely afraid now. "Maybe we should call someone." "Who?" "The police, the military, and tell them what exactly." June pulled out a small flashlight. "We need evidence first." The stairs led to a large open space that looked nothing like a normal basement. The walls seemed to shimmer with a metallic substance that moved like slow-flowing water. In the center stood a console about the size of a desk, pulsing with blue-green light. What looked like liquid metal tendrils extended from the console toward the walls, occasionally sparking with energy. "This is..." Ta-One couldn't finish the sentence, his legal vocabulary failing him completely. "Alien," June confirmed, her cybersecurity training kicking in despite her shock. She approached the console carefully, examining symbols flowing across its surface. The patterns reminded her of code, but unlike any programming language she'd ever seen. She pulled out her phone and opened a specialized translator app used by GDN for unknown data structures. "It's struggling to process this," she murmured, watching the app attempt conversion. "But I'm getting fragments." The translated phrases appeared broken and incomplete. "Earth defense, bypass, primary network node, terminal access, fleet coordination." June's blood ran cold as she understood. "He's trying to access my network because it connects directly to military systems. My security clearance would give him access to global defense protocols." "What are you saying?" Ta-One asked, his voice barely audible. "I'm saying this isn't about Wi-Fi sharing," June replied grimly. "This is about infiltrating Earth's defense network. My home system is a backdoor to military infrastructure that monitors for..." She paused, looking around the alien technology surrounding them. "For exactly this kind of threat." A holographic display suddenly activated above the console, showing what appeared to be a map of the solar system. Several points of light pulsed in formation around Earth's orbit. "Those look like positions," Todd said, leaning closer. Or ships, June finished. A fleet, waiting for a signal. She took several quick photos with her phone, downloading as much data as possible from the active displays. We need to alert GDN immediately. This is a planetary security threat. As she spoke, one of the metallic tendrils moved, slithering across the floor toward her phone like it was attracted to the device. June jumped back, pulling Todd with her. "I think it's trying to connect to my phone," she whispered. Above them, a sound, the faint click of the front door opening. "We need to leave," Todd hissed. Now. They rushed to the stairs, but before they could reach them, the hidden panel at the top slid close. The blue-green light from the console pulsed faster, bathing the basement in an eerie glow. "He's back early," June whispered, frantically looking for another exit. The metallic substance on the walls began to move more actively, forming patterns that resembled doorways and then dissolving again. The console emitted a low humming sound that seemed to vibrate through their bodies. Footsteps moved across the floor above them, slow and deliberate. Not the casual movements of someone arriving home, but the methodical pace of someone who knew exactly what they were looking for. Tae-won pointed to a darker area behind the console. There might be another way out through there. As they edged toward it, June noticed her phone screen flickering with strange symbols. The same ones from the alien console. The device was hot in her hand, as if overloading. "It's trying to access my phone," she said, quickly turning it off and removing the battery. The footsteps stopped directly above the hidden panel. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the panel began to slide open again, revealing a rectangle of light from above. A shadow fell across the opening as someone, or something, began to descend the stairs. "Hide," June whispered, pulling Tae-won behind the large console just as the familiar figure of Mr. Kim reached the bottom step. Except he no longer looked entirely like Mr. Kim. In the blue-green light, his movements were too fluid, his proportions slightly wrong. As he approached the console, his shadow on the wall didn't match his human form at all. "I know you're here," Mr. Kim called out, his voice echoing strangely in the basement. It sounded both human and not, as if multiple voices were speaking in perfect unison. "I could sense my systems connecting to your device the moment you entered." June and Tae-won remained frozen behind the console, exchanging silent glances. The liquid metal tendrils on the floor slithered closer to their hiding spot, pulsing with the same blue-green light as the central unit. "Curious humans," Mr. Kim's voice echoed from near the basement entrance. "Always investigating things beyond your understanding." June took a deep breath and squeezed Tae-won's arm before standing up. There was no point hiding now. She stepped out from behind the console, facing her neighbor directly. "Who are you really?" she asked, her voice steadier than she felt. Mr. Kim tilted his head at an unnatural angle, studying her with eyes that now seemed too reflective in the dim light. A smile spread across his face, but his skin moved strangely, like a liquid struggling to maintain its shape. The man's features rippled, like a stone disturbing still water. His face briefly showed a pattern of iridescent scales before settling back into human form, though not quite as convincingly as before. "My true name is Kil-Su," he said, "Advanced Scout for the Hosu Collective. We've studied your species for decades, particularly your odd attachment to legal systems." Tae-won emerged from hiding as well, positioning himself beside June. His lawyer's composure had returned despite the extraordinary situation. "The lawsuits," Tae-won said. "That's why you sued for Wi-Fi access rather than just hacking in." Kil-Su's smile widened beyond what a human face should allow. "Your species respects these arbitrary rules you call laws above all else. Even your most advanced defense systems have legal overrides. Fascinating vulnerability." He gestured to the equipment humming around them. "Rather than take by force, I chose to use your own laws. Quite elegant, yes. Once I accessed your network node, our fleet could bypass your planetary shields." "The previous neighbors," Jun said. "What happened to them?" They complied with the court order and provided network access. Kil-Su replied casually. Unfortunately, their systems lacked your specialized security protocols. They were insufficient for our needs. And the one who died? Ta-One asked, his voice tight. An unfortunate accident. He became suspicious after providing access. Kil-Su shrugged with two fluid shoulders. Your species is surprisingly observant sometimes. Jum discreetly moved her hand to her pocket, feeling for the emergency beacon all GDN employees carried. With her thumb, she pressed the recessed button 3 times, the signal for a first contact scenario, the highest possible alert. Why me? She asked, trying to keep him talking. Why my network specifically? Your arrival was fortuitous, Kil-Su said. The Global Defense Network placed you here without realizing what exists beneath this ground. Your security clearance provides direct access to exactly what we need. Ta-One took a step forward, drawing Kil-Su's attention. Why target this neighborhood specifically? There must be thousands of network access points around the world. Kil-Su smiled again, clearly enjoying the chance to explain his plan. The defense node beneath this ground. Your governments build in residential areas thinking they're less obvious. He tapped his foot on the floor. 200 meters below us lies a quantum communication hub that connects to orbital defense platforms. Your home network has priority access, one simple connection, and we control everything. As he spoke, the console behind him displayed more symbols, showing what looked like a countdown sequence. The rest of my team will arrive soon, Kil-Su continued. They were quite amused by my legal approach. Some wanted to simply eliminate all residents and take what we needed. There are others like you here, June asked, trying to hide her growing alarm. Not yet. I am the advanced scout. Kil-Su walked toward the console, his movements too smooth, like he was gliding rather than walking. But the litigation delays became troublesome. Your refusal to comply forced me to accelerate the timeline. He pressed his hand to the console, and his skin seemed to meld with the surface. The metallic tendrils responded, reaching toward him like pets greeting their master. The Hosu Collective has waited long enough, he said. Your planet's resources will serve a greater purpose under our guidance. June noticed a subtle change in the humming sound from the equipment. It was growing higher in pitch, more urgent. The map display above the console now showed the points of light. The ships, beginning to move, their formation tightening around Earth. You're signaling them now, she realized aloud. Yes, without your network access, we'll proceed with the direct approach. Kil-Su's form rippled again, revealing more of his true nature beneath the human disguise. Less elegant, more casualties, but equally effective. Ta-One subtly reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. You still need approval from the local zoning board for any full-scale invasion, he said with surprising calm. I'm pretty sure that's in the municipal code too. Kil-Su paused, his alien features showing confusion before he realized it was a joke. Humor in the face of extinction. Another fascinating human trait. While Kil-Su was distracted by Ta-One, June edged closer to what appeared to be a power conduit connecting the console to the wall. One of the metallic tendrils had thinned at this junction, looking more vulnerable. Your species had such potential, Kil-Su continued. So much creativity, yet so fragmented by your devotion to arbitrary boundaries and rules. In the distance, very faintly, June heard the sound of sirens. The emergency beacon had worked. GDN response teams would be closing in. But would they arrive in time? The signal is already transmitting, Kil-Su said, apparently also hearing the sirens. Your authorities cannot stop it now. June locked eyes with Ta-One and gave an almost imperceptible nod. They had one chance. Maybe not, June said, stepping closer to the console. But I know something about signals that you don't. Kil-Su's head tilted again, curious. And what is that, human? They can be interrupted. In one swift motion, Jung grabbed the thin metallic tendril and yanked it hard, disconnecting it from the wall. At the same moment, Ta-1 threw his phone directly at the central part of the console. The result was immediate and chaotic. Sparks erupted from the severed tendril, and a high-pitched whine filled the basement. The liquid metal surfaces began to ripple violently, losing cohesion. Kill-Su made a sound that was definitely not human, a high oscillating screech that hurt their ears. His form distorted completely, revealing glimpses of iridescent scales and too many limbs. "What have you done?" he hissed, his voice no longer attempting to sound human. Outside, the sirens grew louder. Multiple vehicles were approaching. "Interrupted your call," Jun replied, backing toward the stairs. "It's what we do at GDN." The basement lights flickered as the alien technology struggled to maintain power. The holographic display showing the fleet position sputtered and distorted, then vanished entirely. Kill-Su lunged toward Jun with inhuman speed, his form now barely maintaining any human characteristics. Ta-1 grabbed a piece of equipment and threw it in his path, buying them precious seconds. They raced up the stairs just as the front door burst open. Men and women in tactical gear poured into the house, weapons raised. "GDN Special Response," a commander shouted, down on the ground. But Kill-Su was already charging up the stairs behind Jun and Ta-1, his body now a terrifying blend of human and something else entirely. The confrontation had begun. The morning sun rose on a very different Maple Avenue than the one Jun had moved 2 weeks earlier. Military vehicles lined the quiet suburban street. Neighbors huddled behind police barricades, watching in confusion as Special Forces personnel established a perimeter around Mr. Kim's modest home. Inside that home, what had begun as a simple break-in had become a planetary security crisis. The standoff lasted 16 hours. Global Defense Network forces surrounded the house while Kill-Su, now barely maintaining his human disguise, held position in the basement with his alien technology. The basement had been transformed into a command center for both sides, with GDN technicians monitoring the situation from hastily established equipment. "The fleet is still in position," reported Major Han, studying readings from orbital sensors. 7 vessels, holding formation just beyond lunar orbit. "They're waiting for a signal." Jun nodded, her eyes never leaving Kill-Su. The alien stood by his console, one hand merged with the liquid metal surface. In the harsh light of the GDN floodlamps, his true nature was more visible, iridescent scales beneath stretches of human skin, eyes that reflected light like a cat's. "If I don't transmit the all-clear signal within the next hour, they will assume I've been captured and begin the attack anyway," Kill-Su announced. His voice had given up any pretense of sounding fully human, now carrying metallic overtones. "Your orbital defenses cannot stop them all." General Park, the GDN commander who had arrived 6 hours into the standoff, stepped forward. "We've evacuated the surrounding area and prepared countermeasures." "Insufficient," Kill-Su replied simply. "The Hosu Collective has studied your defenses for decades. We know their weaknesses." Jun watched the alien carefully. Despite the chaos, her analytical mind had been working through the problem. The alien technology in the basement was powerful but followed patterns she recognized from her cybersecurity work. Input, processing, output. Systems with rules, even alien ones, could be manipulated. "Your password," Kill-Su suddenly demanded, looking directly at Jun. "Give me access to your network node, and some of your species may be spared. I can signal the fleet to take this continent intact." The military personnel tensed, weapons raising slightly. "That's not happening," General Park said firmly. Jun raised her hand. "Wait, let me think." She approached Kill-Su slowly, ignoring the protests from the soldiers. "Your technology connects to our systems, right? That's why you needed my password. To create a bridge between your network and ours." "Correct," Kill-Su confirmed. "Your security clearance provides the necessary pathways." Jun nodded thoughtfully. "But any connection works both ways. Your systems have to accept our data protocols to establish that link." Kilsu's inhuman eyes narrowed. "What are you suggesting?" "A compromise," Jun said. "I'll enter my access codes myself. You can transmit your signal, but only through my secured channel. This ensures the signal isn't tracked back to your fleet." General Park grabbed her arm. "What are you doing? We can't give him access." June looked at the general steadily. "Trust me, I know what I'm doing." After a tense discussion, the military leaders reluctantly agreed. Todd 1, who had remained through the entire standoff providing legal counsel to GDN, watched nervously as June approached the alien console. "I'll enter it myself," she told Kilsu, gesturing toward the interface. The alien hesitated, then stepped aside. "The console will recognize your biometric signature. Press your hand here." June placed her palm against the cool, metallic surface. It yielded slightly, like touching firm gel. The display appeared, showing familiar Earth characters. The console had adapted to her. Instead of her actual password, she entered a complex string of characters, a specialized virus she developed 3 years earlier for network intrusions. The code appeared standard to observers, but contained a cascading exploit designed to propagate through connected systems. Access granted. The console displayed in glowing letters. Kilsu made a sound almost like satisfaction. "Wise choice, human. The fleet will remember your cooperation." The alien console absorbed the code and began to glow brightly, the light pulsing faster and faster. Kilsu's expression changed from triumph to confusion as strange patterns flickered across the displays. "What is happening?" he demanded. "This isn't the right protocol." Throughout the basement, the alien technology began to react, tendrils writhing, surfaces rippling. On the main display, a map of the solar system appeared, showing 7 points of light that had previously been invisible. "What have you done?" Kilsu gasped, his form distorting as he lost control of his human disguise. "Introduced you to human creativity," Jun replied as GDN forces moved in to secure the alien. "That wasn't my password. It was a reverse-engineered viral code based on the fragments I saw in your system. It's revealing the position of your cloaked ships to every defense platform in the solar system right now." On the screens around them, orbital defense platforms were already locking onto the newly visible Hosu vessels. The ships, realizing they'd been compromised, began emergency maneuvers. "Impossible," Kilsu whispered, his alien features fully revealed now. "Our technology is centuries beyond yours." "Maybe," June agreed. "But you overlooked something important about humans. We're very good at adapting other people's technology. It's kind of our specialty." Within hours, the Hosu fleet had surrendered, outmaneuvered and outgunned once their stealth capabilities were neutralized. The invasion was over before it truly began, all because of a neighbor who sued for a Wi-Fi password. 6 months later, June walked through the sleek corridors of the newly established Interstellar Relations Bureau. After the Maple Avenue incident, as it was now called in GDN briefings, humanity had been forced to acknowledge they weren't alone in the universe. The Bureau was created to handle this new reality. June had been appointed head of technological security, using her unique experience to develop protection against other potential alien intrusions. Her office overlooked Washington, D.C., a constant reminder of what had nearly been lost. As she supervised the installation of a new quantum-protected network, a familiar figure approached her desk. Kilsu, now under careful supervision, had proved valuable in helping humans understand alien technology. His knowledge had earned him a conditional role as cultural liaison rather than imprisonment. The former scout looked more human today, though certain movements still betrayed his true nature. He approached with a tablet, displaying network schematics. "Still need approval for guest network access," he said sheepishly, indicating a request from the Hosu delegation that had arrived to negotiate a formal peace treaty. June smiled, remembering their first encounter on her porch, what felt like a lifetime ago. Some things never change. She took the tablet and approved the access request, with several layers of security protocols attached. "How do your people feel about the treaty?" she asked, genuinely curious. "Surprised," Kill Sue admitted. "In 10,000 years of expansion, no species has ever reversed an invasion through their legal system and computer network." "We're full of surprises," Jun replied. "Maybe that's why your lawsuit approach almost worked. We respect rules, but we're also very good at finding creative ways around them." Outside her window, the first official Hosu diplomatic ship descended toward the landing pad, its iridescent hull catching the sunlight. Earth was entering a new era, all because a creepy neighbor had sued for a Wi-Fi password. Retroclaude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses. 3.7 Sonnet.